1/3 of U.S. citizens cannot name any of the rights provided to them under the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. These are the very people determining the future of our country and our society. And while this does lead to many problems, a solution could be to require a constitutional proficiency exam in order to graduate high school. Now, the benefits of this would be astronomical to not only our country, but also our society. Not only in terms of competency, but also in terms of functionality and accountability. There are a few issues that come with this topic, and the first of those is legitimacy. The idea of requiring a 70% proficiency exam over the U.S. Constitution for a high school student might seem out of the scope of the government's authority. But when you consider the purpose of the American public school system, which, while in part was to teach citizens how to read and write, as the first 6 presidents who urged for the public school system deemed the public school system itself, it is critical to the preparation for citizenship in a Republican form of government. And that came from lwv.org. And it is on the same basis of preparation for citizenship in this country that constituting this constitutional proficiency exam is not out of the scope of the government's authority. Next topic would be benefits. A poll from ABC News revealed that 70% of people could not answer the question, what is the supreme law of the land? The answer, of course, is the U.S. Constitution. Another study from newseuminstitute.org showed that only 2% of people could name all 5 rights provided to them under the First Amendment. With these statistics in mind, it would be foolish to expect citizens who do not know, who are not knowledgeable of the governmental system that resides over them, to be able to hold that government accountable. And as far as personal benefits, the largest personal benefit is in the citizens' ability now to exercise the rights that they now know of. For instance, maybe redress of grievances or right to peaceably assemble. They can now exercise those rights and act out against the government and hold the government accountable. So what would the implementation of this look like? Well, you could take the last 2 weeks of the history class or the government class of high school students and simply inform them over the U.S. Constitution, and then at the end take the exam and require a 70% proficiency rating. So what to do? Well, the first thing you could do is contact your representative. You can find your representative at house.gov/representatives/find. You enter your zip code and it pulls up the representative for your district and contact information, etc. So you can contact your representative and simply let them know that this is something that you feel strongly about, and if the opportunity arises to vote on some piece of legislation that deals with this subject or whatever, they now know the citizens that they represent, they now know those citizens' preference in terms of legislation. And the thing to remember here is that if the people do not participate, if the citizens do not participate, the entire system of our democratic republican government fails. And it leaves the government up to corrupt people who do not have the citizens' best interests at heart. And this is the ultimate demise of our own ignorance and lack of involvement. And so something to do in your daily life would be to simply inform. Forgot the problem. My grandparents carry around these constitutional booklets, and whenever the opportunity arises, if they're just meeting someone in passing or at an event or anything, they'll simply, kind of lead the conversation that way, and they will offer them one of these constitutional booklets. And I mean, I think they're like $1 a piece. And it's amazing the reaction that my grandparents get from people, simply from just offering them this. And with this, they may or may not read it, but they now, if they do, they are now informed over the Constitution that resides over them, and much better able to be a citizen of this country. Ultimately, it's the responsibility of the individual to hold the government, their government, accountable. It's government by the people, for the people. And while that's common, it's very true. And I'll leave you with this quote from Thomas Jefferson. "I know no safe depository of the ultimate powers of the society but the people themselves, and if we think them not enlightened enough to exercise their control with a wholesome discretion, the remedy is not to take it from them, but to inform their discretion by education. This is the true corrective abuses of constitutional power."